This video is brought to you in collaboration with WoWhead.com. Hello everyone.
How does today find you?
Patch 11.1.7 is adding something incredible to the game. Something that I've been hoping to see for a very long time. We're getting Lorewalking. From level 10 to max level, we can join Lorewalker Joe and play through the story of Warcraft. In his first iteration, we have 3 different storylines to go through. 3 different subjects to dive into. We've got the history of the Ethereals, the history of Xal'atath, and the history of Arthas the Lich King. One of these is not like the others, right? Like, what does Arthas have to do with the war within? And I don't think a whole lot. But more so that Arthas is one of the most well-known and beloved stories in the franchise. If you're going to make something new related to telling the story, why not use one of the best things that you got to showcase what Lorewalking could be all about?
Now listen closely to my tale.
Jim Cummings returns as the voice of Lorewalker Joe, stringing together these moments in history. So, for example, the Ethereals, they are playing a part in the war within. They're connected to Xal'atath, Dimensions the All-Devouring, their home world of Karesh. So, what is their story? Well, Joe teleports us into Outland first, at the end of the Netherstorm questline, where for those unaware, we already partied with the Ethereals before, and we fought against Dimensions. This way, everybody gets to experience that old content again and refresh themselves on what happened back then. They are exactly the old quests that we've done before, which you can read for yourself, or, as more are inclined to do, you can just click through them and then Lorewalker Joe will summarize that which you did not want to read.
The Ethereum, a ruling class once united in purpose, had fractured. The Protectorate suspected treachery, but more investigation was necessary.
Off you go to do what needs to be done. Or, if you're interested, you could also ask Joe for more details. What is Karesh? What is a Dimensius? What are these different ethereal organizations? Extra information. Imagine not having to go to Wikipedia and you've got Joe right here telling you what is going on, what information there's available. After dealing with the main story that's important from the Burning Crusade, Joe takes us into Legion, Argus to be precise, where we relive the moments of Illyria and the Locust Walker. The moments where they met up, we empowered Illyria, and again, you get to ask a bit more about their history. They've also integrated cutscenes and movies that you can play that are related to the past, and after reliving Locust Walker's story, we go into something brand new and super exciting, but since that is spoiler territory, I'll save that for the end of the video in case you don't want to be spoiled. The second subject is all about Xal'atath, starting with re-experiencing the Artifact questline, which was previously only available to Shadow Priests back in the expansion Legion. Joe allows us to ask for more details once again, and even has the option to replay several specific whispers of Xal'atath that played out during Legion.
While wandering the world, the High Priest once heard Xal'atath whisper this.
It is ironic that the weakest of us may be the ultimate victor. Cthulhu, Yogg-Saron, Y'Shaarj, and... well, only one would remain to consume the world that was always meant to be.
Even back then, Xal'atath wouldn't shut up, and she would give Shadow Priests some, little lore tidbits and whispers, and, you would go through a Titan city, and she'd be like, oh, the Titans, they're nothing, or you would finish the Emerald Nightmare raid, and she walks up to the flower, and she's like, oh, the prison is weakening, we better hurry up, which was hinting at N'Zoth releasing in Battle for Azeroth. Now, why specifically these whispers? That might be worth a video on its own, but it is really cool to have them available like this. Then we see her return with Battle for Azeroth, which was a questline available for everyone. But you can refresh your memory, or maybe you were just never playing back then, followed by something brand new and super exciting. But once again, since that is spoiler territory, I'll save that for the end of this video. And then the final storyline that has us lore walk through one of the greatest stories told within Warcraft, Arthas Menethil and his road to becoming the Lich King. A clever reuse of resources from the past. What they call a Lordaeron garrison is actually an emptied out Scarlet Monastery, repurposed for this lore scenario. Then we're teleported into the Purge of Strathholm dungeon, specifically the moment of the RP that we needed to see, but it's not like they had to remake the whole thing, right? A couple of quests in Northrend, which we've done before, displaying Arthas' downfall and burning of the ships, to then picking up Frostmourne and Myrddin left behind in the snow. Jaina going into the Halls of Reflection, and we actually have to do a bit of the dungeon. And then his ascent at Icecrown, which is new and reminded me a lot of back in Legion when they let us play like Illidan. Now they let us play like Arthas, like the Lich King, taking on the heroes of Azeroth and secure our place as a ruler of the damned. The ending is a little bit bugged out. I think we're missing the shattering of Frostmourne and Arthas' downfall, but you know, PTR will be PTR. You do get the option to talk to a couple of the lore characters, get some extra dialogue, or you could just focus on the main objectives. But what about rewards? Well, we get some boxes with gear in it, which weren't massively interesting item level wise, but it's nice to get. There's also a toy after finishing the entire campaign. In this case, I got a toy that turns you into an Ethereal. There's also a toy that will give you a buff, and now Xal'atath will whisper to you as you're killing stuff. She did this as well for Shadow Priest, or she still does if you wield the Black Blade of the Empire, or a toy that will make you look like Arthas the Lich King. As I said, this system is available at level 10, so you could do this to level up some of your characters, get some experience. I did a test run of the Arthas scenario, which is very heavy on the role-playing, but it took me around 30 minutes to complete, and I walked away with just about not fully 2 levels. This is done during the Winds of Mysterious Fortune buff, but all in all, you know, I think 2 levels is kind of decent, but it's probably not optimal if you really want to level quickly, and I think that's perfectly fine. It's an option, a different way of doing things besides, you know, time walking or chromie time or spamming dungeons or any of the many different ways that are there to level your character. It's an extra bonus with the main objective, reliving these storylines, reliving these moments in it. And we get all that sweet, sweet lore in an interactive, interesting way. Show even throws in a book at the end, a synopsis of what we just went through, and my mind immediately shot to the player housing that's got to be implemented. Imagine getting like a bookcase and putting your books in there. Imagine being able to use those books to relive these scenarios. The implications, the possibilities. It's wild, ain't it? So some of this is a refresher on the story so far, and I could just imagine all the scenarios that they could put into this. We've got broken questlines of the past, like the Battle for Undercity, or Refion's legendary Cloak questline, or the Darkspear Rebellion. They could all return in a more summarized version as we join Cho in the story of Sylvanas, or the fall of the Black Dragonflight, or the rise of Vol'jin. They could even go one step further and add moments that we've never seen in-game before, but they did make it in outside material, like Varian's kidnapping by Onyxia, and then his journey on becoming whole again, or Darian's fall with the Ashbringer, or alternate timelines with the Infinite Dragonflight, or the War of the Ancients. There are so many potential scenarios they could add in the system, it's kinda insane, and I couldn't stop playing this. I stayed up till like 5 in the morning last night, testing this out, and it's been an absolute blast. But that's all about retelling stories so far. They've also built in part of this for the story going forward. But as I mentioned, this is the part where we're entering spoiler territory. So if you don't want to be spoiled, now be the time to turn off the video.
Ah, my son. You no longer need to sacrifice for your people. You no longer need to bear the weight of your crown. I've taken care of everything.
What is this? What are you doing, my son?
Succeeding you, father.
Arthas' storyline is preserved as it was. Unless that ending is gonna give us a completely new twist, I think Arthas is just there because it's a cool showcase for what this system could do. A well-known, beloved story that you can go through. Then for the Ethereals, Joe takes us to Outland, takes us to Argus, and then takes us into the Shadowlands to learn more about the brokers that we met back then. And while going through this, I vocally wondered, like, Joe, why are we doing this? Yeah, there are similarities between the brokers and the Ethereals. I remember that back then, a lot were asking, like, why did you come up with a new race of the brokers? Could you not have just used the Ethereals, as they walk, they talk, and they act pretty much the same? So I thought, And Cho is pointing out that they are similar, and they do. They very much have a connection. After redoing the Tazafesh introductory questline from the Shadowlands and a small bit with the broker Venari from the Maw, who you might remember faking her own death near the end of the Shadowlands, then as Cho wraps up the story told, we're rudely interrupted.
Oh? Who is this?
An excellent tale, and pertinent. Venari has need of your aid, hero.
Rajula apologizes for interrupting our conversation, but it was our discussion that drew Venari's attention. She hears much, after all, especially when her name is involved. I've been sent with an object for you to deliver to the Locust Walker.
I do not recommend you keep her waiting.
The Shadow Guards are still hot on the attack, trying to bring the Locust Walker down, but nothing that we can't handle.
Oh, as I suspected. The Shadow Guard are after you as well?
I have not seen you since the destruction of our world, as I preferred it.
Such fangs, Locust Walker. You wound me. Yet unfortunate as it may be, it seems we must work together one last time. Come. We have much to discuss. As for you, my capable courier, return to your storyteller with my thanks.
What was once speculated has now been confirmed. The Brokers and the Ethereals share a common history. The destruction of Karesh, to which their paths separated into the Brokers, that we mainly know from the Shadowlands, and the Ethereals with the war against Dimensius the All-Devouring. The Shadow Guards also strike at Venari, meaning that both sides are dragged into this overarching conflict. A reunion and a partnership for the sake of the history. Time's gonna tell how this is gonna play out, but I do love seeing Venari again. She was one of the highlights of the Shadowlands for me, not to mention the possibilities going forward. If you wanna know more about Venari, I'll link a video in the description down below, but definitely worth to check out.
Jade, the Ethereals and the Brokers both hail from Karesh? Is it possible they were once one people? Oh, fascinating. Although the Ethereals are not the most forthcoming, their history is one of survival in the face of horrors beyond imagining. Their world was destroyed, yet they still managed to thrive. Perhaps one day we will learn more of their story. But for now, we must admire their resilience and strive for it ourselves. And now, I shall add this final chapter you uncovered to my tale. Thank you, my friend.
This was just the start though, as then we got the Xal'atath storyline. A mysterious entity that we know a lot about, but also very little. Illyria describes her as not an old god, but something else. A survivor from the depths of time. Yet, Illyria also said that the Ethereals and Undermine were working for Xal'atath, and that was totally false, so unreliable narrator, ain't it? But regardless, we met Xal'atath by the time that she was trapped in a blade. But how did she end up there? Well, Cho and the Lorewalkers have been very hard at work. Many years ago, a stone tablet from Stormsong Valley made its way into his library. They've taken years to break the cipher and translate the fragments of runes etched into it. I will tell you what we have pieced together, a tale of yet more treachery.
This tablet is a record of a battle from long ago, when the Black Empire ruled all. The old gods sent all of their forces to Ny'alotha to counter an unexpected attack from Xal'atath.
Come forward, Chosen. Xal'atath seeks to usurp the Masters. Lord N'Zoth will not tolerate this betrayal. Do not go forth with N'Zoth's gifts of power. Your mission is too important for you to fail, minion. Lowly though you are, your contributions are seen and
Ny'alotha is this other reality, a realm we ventured into during Battle for Azeroth to take care of N'Zoth once and for all. Turns out that millennia ago, this is before the Titans arrived on Azeroth and brought order to the planet, there was a battle, a betrayal, Xal'atath striking at the old gods, bringing with her an army of shadows and tricks. These beings of chaos and destruction realized the threat she posed and to put the differences aside to unite, stand as one against Xal'atath.
N'Zoth should have known Xal'atath would target Ny'alotha when she learned what he was building. Fortunately, our aid will leave him in our debt.
Xal'atath underestimates us. Her attempts to distract us have failed. Even we will work together when faced with such blatant betrayal.
Go, this creature, Xal'atath, is not like Lord N'Zoth and his kin. She does not appreciate their power or our Black Empire. Show her the error of her ways.
And Yogg-Saron says that Xal'atath's betrayal was inevitable, but she has played her hand too soon. We will crush her. But what was it that N'Zoth was building? Some of the chat mentions that they thought they were talking about the blade, which could definitely be true. All the same, it was enough for her to play her hand and attack. Betray the old gods, as they would describe it. Together, they're enough to overpower her, and this is apparently what she truly looks like. Although, we do gotta keep in mind, right, that this is Cho and the Lorewalkers trying to bring something to life. Something that's inscribed on the tablets worked on by N'Zoth and locked away. Again, unreliable narrators and all that. But still, this is what we got.
Xal'atath, you betrayed not only the strength of the Black Empire, but the very darkness that embraced you. As punishment for your craven selfishness, you will suffer in confinement. Eternally sealed. You shall only watch this world as it gains untold power without you. You shall never lay claim to it.
Eternally pathetic. You are mere pestilence, parading as lords. This is not the end of the game, only the beginning. And I have all eternity to play.
The last desperate cries of one who has witnessed the inevitable.
But that was not all Xal'atath said. The tablet states she whispered in a voice only N'Zoth could hear.
Consider what greatness could be yours if your siblings did not stand in your way. The offer stands. You need only reach out and claim it.
This was how Xal'atath became the blade of the Black Empire eons ago. I fear this raises more questions than it answers. What is Xal'atath? Is she related to the old gods? What does she ultimately intend to achieve? Although Xal'atath's origins remain a mystery, her actions have brought harm to everyone. Perhaps that is all one needs to know in order to oppose her.
What did Xal'atath's last words to N'Zoth mean? Did she foresee their future collaboration? Was it her plan from the start? Lorewalker Cho wonders. And I'm personally hoping that they're not going to give her the power to predict the future to such a degree. Rather, that she's more like a manipulator, making use of opportunities, throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. An open-ended bargain, if and when N'Zoth desires it. A promise that would not be fulfilled until millennia later, until Battle for Azeroth, where she brought him the torch that would light the way, and in exchange was liberated from the blade. This also relates to her promo cutscene where she says,
The world's soul, so long denied me, shall be mine.
Her punishment was not an eternity, but she did spend a whole lot of time in the blade, manipulating events in the background, and we're gonna do a much more detailed video as to what she's been up to and how it's playing out. For this video, in this moment, Lorewalking is absolutely amazing. Obviously, one of my favorite things they have ever added to the game. An interactive way of getting to know the lore of Warcraft in the game. Are you kidding me? This has the potential to expand massively. 30 years of storytelling and scenarios that they could dive into. What an amazing addition. Honestly, thank you Blizzard for putting this in, and thank you very much for watching, everybody. Say that you want to read up on all the things that we talked about today, then do make sure to check out the WoWhead article in the description down below. And as always, subscribe if you like my videos, leave a like if you enjoyed this one, and until next time, see ya!